I'm Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And we are the designers of Four Omens of the Tu'i Tonga. It is a resource management civilization building game for 2 to 4 players that plays in about 60 minutes, and it is set in ancient Polynesia.
So let me give you a quick tour of the components of the game. First of all, you'll be using, in this case, we're going to be playing a 3-player game. You can play anywhere from 2 to 4 players. We're going to play 3. So you'll need 3 round tokens of different colors. And you'll also need the corresponding colored cubes that go with them. Now, those cubes are going to represent the little score tracking canoe tokens, if you will, for Polynesia. Those get placed next to our score tracker. There are 5 cards that look like they have islands on them. And they ascend numerically from 0 to 50. So if you arrange them in numerical order, somewhere off to the side but within easy reach, you can then place your 3 cube tokens there at the beginning. All right, you'll be giving 1 token which represents a scout to each player. And that should leave you with the resource deck. There's 4 omen cards. We'll get to those in a minute. But let's take a look at the resource deck. There are 4 types of resources. There is stone, shell, wood, and fish. And those are the 4 types of resources, and you see that they have different colors and different symbols to represent those. Now, on the other side of those resources are developments, all types. I'll show you the elements of a couple of them, which should cover pretty much everything you need to know. First of all, we'll take a look at a fish card, the Medicine Man. Kelsey's showing you there. See, it's on the backside of a fish. While you're looking at this side, you can look in the bottom left-hand corner and see that it is indeed a fish card because of the symbol there. So you don't have to be looking back to the other side. Let's see. So the upper left-hand corner is important. That is the cost of the card. In this case, you see a little fish symbol with a 1 and a shell symbol with a 2. In this case, that means you're going to have to spend 1 fish and 2 shells in order to develop this card. We'll get to that more in detail later. Again, across the top, there's the name of the card and a picture. Now, in the upper right-hand corner, there is a mask. In this case, there are 4 types of symbols that you would see here in this corner. In this case, the mask represents mysticism. But there's also technology, navigation, and society, which will come into play, of course, later in the game. Below that symbol, there are some dots. In this case, there's 2. It could be anywhere from 1 to 4. That tells you exactly how many cards of that type are in the deck as a whole. So that would tell you that there are 2 Medicine Man cards that you could encounter. A lot of them are 2, but on a scale of 1 to 4, 2 is one of the more rare types. Below that, there is a villager icon that tells you that this card is a villager, and that comes into play in the game. Not all cards are villagers. Some are technologies and stuff like that. So perhaps the most important thing you need to know about the card is below the picture, there's an ability that when you have developed this card, you can then use this ability throughout the game. In this case, you can pay 1 shell to ignore a curse. Below that, it says, with a medicine hut, +1, and that symbol is a victory point, +1 victory point. That would say, in this case, if you have this Medicine Man developed and you also have developed the Medicine Hut card, which, judging by that tree there, says that it is a wood card, then this card would be worth +1 victory points. In the bottom right-hand corner tells you how many it has inherently. The Medicine Man, if you have it developed, is worth 3 victory points. If you have the Medicine Hut in this case, then it is worth 4. And I think that is everything you need to know about that card. I want to show you one more card, the Totem. There are 3 types of totems. The one that you're looking at is a Totem of the Seer. Everything, again, you'll see some familiar things that we just talked about in the other card. This has a requirement. You see this one requires an artisan, and that you can see is a stone card. There are few development cards that require you to have something else developed before you can develop it. In this case, you would need to have developed the artisan in order to play this card. And also, the other thing different here is toward the bottom there's a shell symbol. That means that you can decorate this card with a shell. In Polynesia, artisans really used shells to decorate their weapons or their tools in order to make them more efficient. So we've represented that in this game by being able to, if you want this ability on this card that's next to the shell, you put another shell card just kind of tucked in behind it through the course of the game to represent the fact that you have decorated this item with a shell, and now you can gain that extra ability that's listed on the card. A few cards can do that. So I think between those two cards, that shows you everything that you need to know. I mean, all the abilities are different compared, depending on what the card is, you just have to read it. But I think that is all you need to know about the cards.
We'll be setting up and playing through a 3-person game, and so for our third player, my brother has joined us. Here's Mike.
Yep.
Also married to Mike. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, to set up our 3-player game, you're going to take your resource deck, and you want to have separated your 4 Omen cards. I'm going to keep those off to the side for right now. Everyone will start off with 1, and then also lay in the middle where everyone can reach them. As many cards as there are players plus 1, in our case, 4 cards. Okay, and that should be good. Now we need take the rest of the deck. Divide it roughly in half. It doesn't have to be exact. Take one of those halves and divide it roughly in half again. So you have a quarter deck, and half deck. Now take your 4 Omens with the Omen side facing up. You want to take 2 of them and kind of just shuffle those into one of the quarters like that. Take 1 Omen card and put it in the other quarter, and then with a half deck, just shuffle one of those Omens in there as well. So your first quarter goes down first, stack the second quarter on top of that, and then your half goes on top of that. That is your new draw pile, which now has 4 Omens relatively evenly spaced throughout. And now we're ready to start the game.
So now that you're looking over our shoulder, we can start this game. On your turn, you do 2 things. First, you gather, and then you perform an action. An action is either to build or guard. I'll show you what those look like. But first, I need to gather. I'm going to look at the card. I don't have to start developing this one right away. I could gather whatever I want to, but I want to build these axes here. Okay, so it's time for me to gather 1 card from the scouting report. This is called the scouting report. It basically represents what your scouts have found as far as resources go in your surrounding area. I'm looking at this card. I need 1 wood and 1 stone in order to build it. And so I'm going to go ahead and take a wood. I'll gather that. And I know that I also need a stone. So I'm going to go ahead and I could, if I could build now, I probably would, but I can't. So for my action, instead of building, I will guard, which means I'll place my guard token on a card that I want to be able to gather next time. Because you cannot gather what has already been guarded. So in that case, well, this gets be replenished. Technically, that gets replenished before I guard, but I still want to take that stone for next time. And that is my turn. Play will go around the table. Kelsey doesn't choose to build, so she's going to lay it out the next card and guard 1. Mike takes his card, doesn't build, puts out another one, and he can choose to guard something too. Okay, back around to me. I don't have to gather what I just guarded. I could take something else. Of course, in this case, it doesn't really matter. It's either a stone or a stone, so I'll take the stone I was guarding. And now I can perform my action. In this case, I actually can build. In order to build, you need to have, well, the card you want to build, in this case, my axes, and a card for each resource that it costs, the 1 wood and 1 stone, which I have right here. Now, I'm going to be discarding the wood and the stone in order to lay this card down here. This is like my village. Now, of course, I have lost the ability to develop those other cards right now. I might be able to later, but that's how the game works. So now that this card is in my village, I am able to use the ability that is on the card. And since I built on my turn, I cannot guard. So my turn is over. We're going to fast forward now to the moment in time where we encounter our first Omen card from the draw pile. All right, so we're still in the middle of the game. Mike's going to take his turn, gather his guarded fish, not build anything, apparently, replenish and guard something else. Oh,
Dun, dun, dun.
oh, the Omen card has come up. Okay, this is our first Omen of the game. And play has to stop right now with whatever we're doing. So we'll remember it's the end of Mike's turn. It'll be mine next. But first, what we have to do is with every Omen, if anyone has more than 5 cards, they have to lose half of their cards, rounding up in their favor if it's an odd number. In my case, I actually have 6 cards. I was hoarding them and trying to save up for something, but I have to lose 3 of them. So before you have to discard any, you can see what the Omen is. Flip that Omen card over, and you can see here that there is a first, second, third, fourth Omen. Since this is our first Omen that we've encountered, we're going to just look at where it says first Omen. In this case, it's a fish plague. It says keep no fish. So as I have to discard some cards, I can't keep any fish, which honestly makes my decision easy for me because I had 4 of them, which kind of sucks. So I discard those.
I have 1 fish I have to discard.
And I have 2.
Okay. They didn't have to discard half because, again, that's only if you have more than 5 cards when the Omen comes. But now we're all set. Okay, so the other things you have to do, as indicated on the Omen card itself, is we discarded half, we resolved the effect. Now we award victory points based on what we have developed so far in our village. Okay, so we just go through the 4 categories. That's the upper right-hand corner of the card, 4 development types. First, let's say mysticism. So we see who has the most mysticism cards.
I have 1 mysticism.
And Mike and I have 0. Okay, so Kelsey, you get 1 point for being the leader of mysticism. How about tech?
I have 1 tech.
You have 1. I also have 1. Mike has 0. Okay, so Kelsey gets another point. I'm on the board with 1. And how about society?
Oh, 1.
You have 1,
I don't
and
have
that's it. So Mike gets 1 for being the leader of society. And navigation, nobody has, so nobody gets points for that one. So again, that's just 1 point for every leader of a category. And at that point, it's very important. You got to shuffle the discard deck now. This Omen stays out of the game. We'll just leave it up there to remember how many Omens we've encountered. Kelsey's shuffling the discard pile, and those get to go back on top. So, and now we will continue play. Remember, it was the end of Mike's turn when the Omen happened, so it's my turn, and I will gather. So at the end of my turn, I will replenish the scouting report, guard that stone.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, and here is our 4th Omen. Figured it was about time. So there's our 4th one. So we have to, if you have more than 5, discard half. Anybody? No?
Nope.
Everyone's good? Okay. And we'll see what the effect is. 4th Omen here. Cannibals. Okay. This says discard 1 villager, and it says if that's not applicable, discard 1 development. And you're discarding 1 from your village. At this point in the game, we all have a villager, at least 1, I think. I'm going to lose my astronomer.
You don't have to. You've got a warrior.
Oh, you're right. I have a
With
warrior
spears and
with
axes.
spears and axes, so I can ignore the cannibals. Thank you,
I can't
Kelsey.
ignore the cannibals, so I'm killing off my artisan.
I can ignore the cannibals.
All right, he has a warrior too. Okay,
Man.
excellent. So Kelsey gets the shaft on that one. Okay, and then we also have to award victory points again. So again, we'll go through those 4 categories. So mysticism.
I
Gotta be Kelsey.
4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, I don't have nearly that. So
I have
she
1.
gets that. Technology, tech.
I have 4.
I have 4 also. Mike and I tie.
The cannibals just ate my 1 tech card.
Nice. Society. I have 2.
I have 1.
It's got to be Mike. He's been
5,
building
6.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike gets 1. And then navigation, I have 3. Anybody beat 3? I don't think so.
Nope.
Okay. So I get 1 for that. Okay. So we gave our victory points. And now we shuffle the discard pile once more. This goes our 4th Omen, because after the 4th Omen is resolved,
Including any
Yes.
cards left on the bottom of the
for
deck
this
after
last
the-
Omen only, you can take whatever's on the bottom and shuffle those in there, just so there's a chance to encounter them, perhaps. Okay, so yeah, after the fourth omen, everyone gets one more full turn. That was the end of my turn. If that had come up after I had gathered somehow, then I would be able to finish my turn now and move on and get one more turn. But as it is, we all take one more turn. I am actually out of cards. I'll just gather.
That was the end of your turn.
Oh, that was my turn. All right, I'm trying to cheat. Kelsey goes.
I want the shell that I was guarding, and I get to build tattoos.
And you don't guard.
I don't guard.
And I don't even like the stone, so I'm taking a fish. And I'll build group fishing for fish and wood.
Okay. And you can keep guarding too because you have a warrior.
Yep.
And it's my turn. I'll just. Doesn't really matter. I don't think I'm going to be able to build anything off of one. So, no. Okay, fair enough. All right. So that is the end of play. Now we need to count up our victory points. So we keep these points here on the point tracker. Kelsey and Mike each have 10. I'm here with 8. We go through those categories again. Ultimately, you're going to be counting up all the points that you have in your village, but it's easier to go by category and looking at those particular cards. So, again, let's start with mysticism again. Kelsey is going to be looking at the victory points in the bottom right-hand corner.
1.
And also in the ability section of the card to see if she had any bonus points from there as well. So we're all looking up mysticism. That's easy for me. I don't have any.
I have 3.
Mike gets 3. So Mike gets 3 points total for that. 13. Kelsey pretty much went all
24.
in with that. 24. Yes. Okay. 10 plus 24 is 34. Well, okay. So tech.
I have none.
6.
I think I have 11. Mike has 6. I have 11. That catches me up. Society.
6.
I also have 6.
12.
Nice. 31. And then navigation.
None.
0.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
That is 2, 3, 4, and 4 is 8. 33. And that's all 4
Aha.
categories, so that ends up with a game of Kelsey wins with 40, I have 33, and Mike with 31. Pretty tight, all in all.
This has been How to Play Four Omens of the Tu'i Tonga. Thank you again to JR and the rest of the Nerd Nighters for putting together this awesome contest. It's been a blast. We wish the best of luck to the other contestants, and we'll see you soon. Well, won't see you soon. I don't know. I didn't know how to end it. I never know how to end it.
In this perspective, I look like a giant.
Like, here's my brother. He's a giant. We're really small and he's really big.